Hi everyone, I thought I'd talk a special edition over here because we knew the news early this morning within regards to the reunion that Oasis were getting back together. I think someone, a statistician actually stated that 30 years ago was the release of their first album, which obviously became, I think, one of the top best-selling British albums of all time. And they split up exactly 15 years ago, pretty much. So there was like 15 years of them together, 15 years separated, and now they're coming back together, whether it's permanent or whether it's just for a tour or anything else. But it's all over the news, and Britain is absolutely, many people are elated. Many people over here, us especially living here in Israel, obviously is very excited. Also, especially us middle-aged people. There'll be people much older, and people, maybe some of the teenagers over here living here would have known that there is such a great band. Obviously, they've heard many of the classic songs and so on and so forth, and want to actually see why all the hype was within regards to this. So just to celebrate it, because I was a huge fan back in the day. I haven't actually listened to any of their music for a long time now, but so I thought I would celebrate and have this in a few minutes and treat myself to a nice salt and vinegar crisps. I stocked up big time over here just recently, because probably will go back out of the shops in due course at the moment. So it got me thinking, this was 30 years ago when they released their first album. Obviously, even, I think it was one of the big, it was once on, I think, GMTV, I remember watching when maybe I was in high school or university. So I think they actually interviewed, I've got a very, very, very good visual memory, brilliant visual memory. And interviewed one of the top people on Capital FM, I think at the time. I don't know if it was Dr. Fox or one of these kind of people. They said, who will still be spoken about in 20, 25 years' time? So he was saying that these bands, boy bands, no one's going to mention them anymore. But he actually did say that Oasis will always be here now for 30, 40 years. It's going to be in the coming generations. And oh boy, it seems like they've peaked again today, just like it was back in the day. Remember in the mid-90s, especially that period when they went to, I think it was Nebworth, they had record-breaking concerts at that point in time. And it got me thinking in life, you know, in 30 years, you know, how much has went by, you know. I was listening to a podcast just before, I think connected to one of the channels that was speaking and recollecting about how, let's say, how popular they were back in then, how their popularity obviously hasn't ceased at all. That when they will come and do these concerts, a lot of people will be flooding in tears at the same time, because so much of what they've done, of many of the songs, maybe of the tunes, it's been part of weddings. It's been part of, let's say, us as Jewish people. Many people will remember their bar mitzvah time was around that period when they had peaked. Maybe their wedding was at that period. Maybe a loved one had passed away at that point in time. So if we channel that into just the general society over here, you know, there will be a lot of tears shed, because it's not just because maybe people really like the music over here, but it's all the emotion that has come within regards to all those years, all those happenings that actually took place at the different times. And remember, we've had here in Israel very, very tough last 11 months, especially after the atrocities that's happened after Simchat Torah, since Simchat Torah, and especially with so many hostages still held, and so many of our soldiers we've lost, heroic soldiers we've lost, and so many people are so worried. We're all worried. A lot of the time, many of us are. But I think it was actually an Oasis song that when, after the atrocities that happened in Manchester, obviously it was much, much smaller scale to what's happened here on Simchat Torah on the 7th of October. I think they actually sang an Oasis song, if I remember, I think in the crowd of Don't Look Back in Anger at that point in time. That became like the iconic song 7 years ago after the atrocities that happened in Manchester, in the Manchester Arena, when there was that terrible terror attack at that point in time. And there's been many various different songs that has become, let's say, popular in Israel, where many people will attach, unfortunately, the terribleness of that day. Maybe there were a lot of songs also that brought about the unity, especially the country, where, especially a few weeks after the atrocities that took place on Simchat Torah on 7th of October, it was like a unity kind of song across the whole country. It was like a unified message at that point in time, where everyone was together, b'yachad menatzeach, and we really, really do hope that is going to take place, because that is obviously the key to everything. But if we look back at these 30 years within regards to everything that's happened, you know, just in our lives, you know, sometimes we need to do that in life. You know, we so many of us have been through so many things, and sometimes we want to just look ahead. Yeah, that is very, very important. But also we need introspection in whichever place we are in our lives at the moment, to see what have we actually done over the last 30 years, over the last 20 years, over the last 3 years, over the last 3 months, over the last 3 weeks. We need that kind of hitbodedut, as they say, that reflection time all of us do need to see how can we make our lives better. Sometimes also the great times we've had, we've also got to remember that at the same time and enjoy it and cherish it the whole time, not just to block things out of our minds, because sometimes individuals might have fell short in many different areas that they were targeting high results in. And at the same time, we need to reflect and try and improve ourselves and feel better. But, at the same time, to make the best of every moment. And many people are thinking they will not get back together. This band over here, they peaked. And sometimes it's not the right thing to get back together. When the glory was high and they were so successful, the reunion sometimes could actually see a dramatic decrease in popularity among various bands or whatever it might be over here. Obviously, in this case over here, it seems like it's going to boom and it's going to be very popular again, and it's obviously financially, and it's going to have a lot of good choice. All these things also, they bring an injection also to the economy and just to feel good factor back in the country, because many people will associate the days when they released that third album at the time, and there were people queuing all night. I remember it. I remember buying the album, I think in August 1997. I think I was 14 years of age. We went to California for the summer. I went with my parents, went to New York also, went to Nevada, Las Vegas. And I remember coming back on that specific week when they released their third album, Oasis did, and I think it was the fastest selling album of all time at the time. And we remember it even to nowadays. I think it was on those few weeks threshold where Princess Diana also died during that time period. So we all remember that summer at that point in time. Everything that happens in life at the end of the day, we remember what was the baggage around the different events sometimes. And it also helps our memory also when major things actually occur over here. So, they're reunifying after 30 years. It was obviously extremely successful. A lot of their songs, if you listen to a lot of the lyrics, a lot of the songs actually have a lot of great meaning to it, especially in the first two albums. They encapsulate different moods of people. They, just by listening to the tunes itself, makes them, the feel-good factor, especially people will listen to Wonderwall, all those different Roll With It, all these songs. These are where they're playing this in the stadiums when the teams are winning league titles over here. And it just will bring a feel-good factor upon so many different people. So let's just hope this can bring an injection to the country, a feel-good factor. But just good things coming also for all of us. Many people watching from over here will be very excited because many people were big fans of theirs. And music plays such a huge part in all of our lives. That's the most important thing. That's why, especially being from a Idut Mizrach background over here, we know that, especially in many of the great countries where many of us do come from, especially, how important music played in all our great grandparents' lives, especially in Tunisia, Morocco, where the people were in Germany, in all the different places in diaspora, music was always a huge part. And, that here we are in Israel now. That was a huge part of many of our lives, what was taking place, the music that we went through when we were teenagers, when we were kids, when we were adults, newly married, or whatever it might be, at that point in time when they had peaked. So let's just hopefully see good things happening across the whole world. We're all praying that our hostages will come back immediately. Very good news today. We rescued one of the hostages today, and we hope that everyone serving, all our heroic soldiers, are going to be safe and sound, and hopefully we're not going to need any wars whatsoever. There's going to be peace in the whole world. So wishing you all a fantastic day, and take care.